Kia ora everyone, no mai haere mai, and welcome to the Political Power Hour. I'm your host, Holly Bennett, and it's great to have you along on this Switch Studios live stream. So of course, given the name, Political Power Hour, we're going to be talking about everything to do with politics.
Sorry about that.
What are you up to?
Just mucking around here. There's Lorchner on the track, by the way.
Everyone, that's producer Lorchner. He's going to be with us today as well. So if you hear a man's voice chipping in as we go through the program, it's him, it's his views. How much do you know about politics?
Pretty much nothing. I'm very useless at political knowledge.
That's good. That's what we like to hear. That's pretty much the status quo I found. With a lot of Kiwis, they just really don't care, and hey, that's fine, that's all right. But just for context, everyone, I work in the political arena. I work as a lobbyist, so that means my whole life revolves around knowing what's going on in Parliament, what's going on in Beehive, what's happening in Wellington. So usually for the Political Power Hour, we're going to have a guest. What I'm keen to hear from you guys listening at home is, what guests do you want to see? Who out of all the politicians, past and present, probably can't say future because we don't know who those are yet, do you want to have in studio here? And so I can talk about all things politics with them. This show is really just about you guys, because I think the thing is that we see often a sanitized version of our politicians, our political leaders, and we don't necessarily get to hear about what makes them tick and the things that they enjoy doing, because the reality is our politicians, they are human beings as well. So just like you and I, they have their own fears, and I think that'd be really good in an election year, because it is election year. Did you know it was election year? Well,
did I know it was election year?
Did you know it was an election year?
This year?
Yes.
No. Maybe. It's late in the afternoon. So it's not just that it's not that I don't care. I think I find politics intimidating.
Why do you find it intimidating?
Because it's like big words, big jargon, and therefore it's like, oh, okay, it's hard for me to engage with, what's going on.
Big words.
Yeah, big
words.
Yeah,
big words.
Big words and jargon. That's basically it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's debunk a few of these big words for you as we go through the episode today. So if you want to get engaged, if you want to start up a dialogue, there's a number of ways. You can do it in the live stream, in the chat. Also, we have got a Political Power Hour Twitter. So I set that up. If you know me, I hate Twitter. Personally, I don't use it. However, I thought it was important to set up a Twitter so that I could sort of see what was going on in 160 characters or less. Wait, is it 160 or is it 320 now?
I think it's more now.
Yeah. Is that because of Trump?
I don't know. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping...
Yeah, we need to keep his tweets to a minimum, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you want to send a message through, just touch base with us on political_hour. So I'll get that. I've got Twitter up here on my computer. I'm learning how to use it, so just bear with me. And you can use the hashtag PPHNZ. So hashtag PPHNZ to give me any of your whakaaro, any of your thoughts that you've got on anything that we cover on the episode today, and even anything that you might want to raise that I have been not talking about that I should, or that you think that other people out there want to know. So at the moment, we've got quite a sad presence. I think we've got 3 followers. So if you can jump on there and follow us, and I'll follow you back, that'll be great. Now, the first thing that I just wanted to go through is the top 5 political stories. So that's things that are going on right now in your country, in politics, that you may not be aware of. So there's the top 5 things that are happening right now. I'll list them off for you. Lorkna, you should let us know if you've heard of any of these.
Will do.
So if you have, just let me know, like yes, once I finish saying what it is, and then no, let's say no. So because that's a really good read on what people's understanding are is what's going on in the political world. So things like me, things that I need to know, be aware of because of my mahi, because of my work, and keep on top of it. So first one, ihu mātau. So it's looking like there might be a deal reached. Have you heard that?
I didn't know there was a deal reached. No, that's news to me.
It's looking like.
That's good.
That's word on the street.
Okay.
2, benefit numbers soaring.
No.
No. 3, Labour and Greens, they're joining forces to tackle fake news style ads this election year.
No. That's cool.
Yeah, that's
really cool.
That's a positive one. Congestion charging is inevitable, said the Transport Minister.
What is congestion charging?
It's a fee for sitting in traffic.
Wow. I have to pay for doing the thing that I don't like?
Absolutely.
Great.
Though you could, actually no, I was going to say you could use a Lime, but they're not in Auckland anymore. So
No, they're not.
No luck there, mate. Sorry.
But no, I did not hear about that, no.
And 5 is not a headline. Well, I've written down the word gangs, but the headline that we have is that Police Minister admits New Zealand has a gang problem.
Did not hear about that.
Wow. So what's that? 4 out of 5?
That I got wrong. I was
gonna. No, it's not yet right or wrong that you didn't hear about.
That I'm uninformed about.
Well, let's get you informed, shall we?
Yes, please.
So, ihu mātau, that is the land occupation of sa iwi tangata whenua in their land out in the southern part of Auckland. The leader of that group, Panya Newton, who I actually went to university with, one of the loveliest people I have ever met, very, very humble, extremely intelligent, and the way that she has mobilized people through social media, I think is something that I'm in awe of, definitely. So the news last night, the headline story I was watching, well, one of the stories, this TV1 news, was about that there was the Kingitanga flag came down, so that meant that a settlement was almost, well, was like near soon. Interesting. Twitter. I was looking on New Zealand First Twitter, now that I'm on Twitter, and their top current tweet says, this is from their official Twitter page, it says, as the Māori King's flag was lowered at the site near Auckland Airport yesterday, many believed a settlement was imminent. But Mr. Peters says that this was not the case. Quote, what is being said right now by a whole range of people is simply false. So we have the Deputy Prime Minister on record, albeit not in his ministerial capacity, which is something that we will pick apart in later episodes. It's not for the introductory episode of the Political Power Hour. If I go into all of that stuff about ministerial roles, I will have no viewers by then. So no, we're not going to do that. But we will do it in a later episode where we talk about the different hats that they wear as ministers and MPs and electorate, constituent MP, all of that kind of stuff.
That would be cool to understand the roles and responsibilities.
We'll get some of that jargon out of the way for you, mate.
Great.
But we have him, the leader of New Zealand First, so one of the coalition partners, saying what is being said right now by a whole range of people is simply false. So, Mr. Peters, Kaimahi staff, anyone close to New Zealand First, please tweet me, tell me what is going on. I would really love to know, because either a whole bunch of media has got it wrong, or this part of cabinet and this part of the government knows something that none of us know.
And what was that Twitter handle again?
Political_hour.
Got it.
You can't tweet me.
No, not me. This is for the benefit of the audience.
Oh, I was going to say, you can't tweet. You're right there. I can hear you.
Exactly.
Don't. Everyone else can hear you too. Don't tweet me.
Yes, Holly. I may be illiterate in politics, but technology, that's my domain.
So,
Sort of.
If anyone's listening out there, even Panya, your old uni friend here, would like to know what's going on, I would really love to know. Someone tweet me and let me know, because I thought that there was a resolution, something was going on, everyone was, positive about this kaupapa, and it sort of seems like somewhere at the top that there's, we don't have a meeting of the minds. Right, that's one down. The next one, benefit numbers soar. So this is an interesting article. I've read it on the Herald. The headline is Government Defends Soaring Benefit Numbers. And basically, Ministry of Social Development, which is the government department responsible in this area, their recent figures show that 15,000 more people were on a benefit by the end of December last year, 2019, compared with the same time of the previous year. So that's a pretty huge number, especially when we've got, from all, as far as I can see, and, what a lot of commenters say, and, even the government itself admits that we've got a really, really strong, robust economy. We've got really low levels of unemployment. So it just sort of begs the question, why? Why are we seeing these low level, the increase in job seeker benefits? I'm just not sure. It doesn't really add up. And especially when you look across a number of sectors, they're crying out for workers. We know this is true with construction, albeit that's not, you have to be trained to do some of those roles. But hospitality, for example, we know that they're desperate for workers. So it's really interesting that we're seeing such a high level of benefit numbers.
What are your theories? Curious to know.
Look, I don't know, because if you take the opposition's view for it, it's that our economy is going to hell in a handcart. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that the numbers are saying that. Perhaps it's because more people are moving off long-term benefits into job seeker benefits. I don't know. I'm sure that there's somebody out there with far more knowledge in this space than me. So if they want to tweet and let us know what's going on, I would love to hear from you. What I would say is that it's definitely not a good sign right now, though. It's not a good sign for the government to see benefit numbers going up, especially in an election year. You want to have everyone working, everyone that's capable of working. So that's something that they'll need to discuss at the cabinet table. Okay, the next headline, which is the one that you quite liked, is the Prime Minister. It was a stuff headline. Jacinda Ardern promises Facebook and fiscal transparency for election 2020.
Yeah.
So unwrapping the story, it basically says that the Prime Minister wants to avoid, quote, negative fake news style, end quote, campaign seen overseas. So her party has voluntarily signed up to the political ad transparency tool, and it will have its election policies independently costed. So I think that this is a really good sign. We definitely don't want to see what's happening or happened over in America happen here. It just erodes what is something is a fundamental tenet, which is the robustness of our democracy. And I was having a look through Twitter when I was doing some prep, and I saw that I think the Greens actually signed up to this first. So sort of like the Greens are the trailblazers here. What will be interesting to see is whether or not New Zealand First, National and ACT follow suit. So the Greens and Labour are out in front, and I guess there's all sorts of rhetoric that you could create about whether or not they do sign up. But I think for voters, knowing what they're doing, what their ad spend is, and how they are targeting us through data, it's a good thing.
Definitely.
I don't have Facebook. You know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So one of the only people probably ever to not have Facebook. I do, however, have LinkedIn. So I put a picture up on LinkedIn, you guys. I will check it now to see if anyone has left any feedback, because it'll be really interesting to see what people are thinking about this transparency, what information that you're getting fed on your device from these parties, and how you think, will that change your opinion with voting? Like, will it change yours? Do you think?
Will it change my opinion? No, I very rarely got exposed to any kind of marketing from, political parties. I sort of just went and voted for what I wanted, who I wanted to vote for.
Is that, do you, so in your professional opinion, is that based on, there's someone who doesn't use Facebook versus someone who does, is that because it looks at what you look at, or is it
with what ads
Facebook
are targeted to me?
Yeah,
that's right. So it's very much, it's already learned what I like and what I dislike, and I'm already part of some sort of group, and whoever's spending that money is targeting those groups, and I'm getting those ads, so I'm not getting anything political on my Facebook. Well,
hopefully the political power hour will change that.
Yeah, hopefully. So after this, quite likely, because they're probably listening right now.
Good, I like it. So if you guys want to send me any feedback, send us any feedback, remember, just political_hour on Twitter, and use the hashtag what is it? PPHNZ, so that I can see it.
Hashtag PPHNZ.
That's the one.
Got it.
Congestion charging, paying to sit in traffic. Yay. Okay, I found this was on Newsroom. Headline was congestion charging inevitable, but not now. So the congestion charge is being ruled out by the Transport Minister for now, but he is thinking longer term about how to use GPS transponders. I have no idea what that is. Do you know what it is?
Transponder, I've never heard it used as that, but I'm guessing just tracking your car.
So data.
Yeah, data on where your car is.
Okay. To track car usage and charge road user fees instead of fuel taxes. So the Minister of Transport, which is Minister Twyford, he said congestion charging is, quote, inevitable, although he's ruling out introducing it in the, quote, immediate future. What the immediate future is, we don't know. I imagine obviously not in an election year. I had a look at the National Party discussion document on this. Now, I have a diesel, so I already pay road user charges. I personally think it's I personally like the idea of paying for how much that you actually use the car. It means that people who sort of don't really get out there, out and about, they won't be impacted. Actually, they'll, possibly end up paying less. But those who are heavy users, they will have to pay, because it makes sense, right? Roads are paid for by the taxpayer. If you're using it more, you're causing more wear and tear to the road. Therefore, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. The minister said, and I think that this is important to note in an election year, because the number one, what's the one word that's synonymous with elections, do you think?
The one word synonymous with elections.
Yeah, if you're trying to have a go at another party.
That's a tough question. What's the one word?
You pay it, I pay it.
Tax.
That's the one.
I was thinking FBI trying to dig up dirt on the other. I went there in my mind.
Oh my God, no.
It's like
You're
scandal?
definitely on that American track.
Yeah. I went straight to the email drama.
No, it'll be tax. And I think that's probably gonna bombard our senses this year in the election. I think that's probably what we're gonna see a lot of. But the minister has said we have no plans to introduce congestion taxes. So, take him at his word.
So with congestion tax, that means I'd be encouraged not to drive my car during peak traffic hours?
Yeah, I think, or just in
Right.
general, because, the more often that people are out driving, the more likelihood there is going to be of congestion, right? So,
Right.
You guys know, so before this, so everyone that's listening that will know me, everyone that's tuned in, and those of you who I don't know, but hi, welcome, will know that I'm notoriously late, and it's really bad. And it's just like, if you ever have a meeting with me, just schedule it 15 minutes earlier, because then I'll be on time.
Is that because you're stuck in traffic?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that might get solved soon. Thanks to...
But what I was going to say is, as you know, the whole reason that I was late here to the studio today, and that's why we started the show a little bit late, was because I was stuck in traffic.
There you go.
And I only came from, Queen Street. So it wasn't even that far for me to come. And I got stuck in traffic.
So when this congestion tax gets introduced and you're still late, then we know it's not the traffic's fault. We know it's just you.
Yes, please, Minister Twyford, don't introduce the tax.
Cool.
Because I can still blame traffic.
Exactly.
What else? I'm just trying to have a look and said... I'm just having a look what some of the commentary is on this. National has just said that they just want to get on with it. The spokesperson for Transport, Chris Bishop, he said, everyone that looks at this knows we need a better way of managing demands on our roads, and congestion pricing is our single best way of doing that. I would characterise the last 7 to 10 years as everyone going, yeah, this is a good idea, but never actually making a commitment to do it. Interesting. Well, 7 to 10 years, that was when his party was in government. So it's very fascinating to watch politicians when they go from government to opposition and then back again, whatever the case may be, to sort of move their views, move the tiller on issues. This is a perfect example.
Did that happen this time?
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said that I would characterise the last 7 to 10 years as everyone going, yeah, this is a good idea, but never actually making a commitment to do it.
Right.
Maybe that's what he's saying, because he's new, he's now in the party, he's just made the commitment, so the party's going to support it. Interesting.
And has this worked overseas?
Well, there we go. In Singapore, it takes the form of a charge that dynamically adjusts according to the number of cars on the road, while in London, it is a price paid by every vehicle that enters the central city.
Right. So that's where the GPS transponders come in. So yes,
Yeah.
it will mean that your car is tracked.
Yes.
And that means that there's going to be your identity.
Yeah, well, what does that mean for data? Isn't that the whole thing that that's been a huge thing, because the government has a whole bunch of data on us as individuals, and yet again, it's more.
Yeah. So I'd be interested as to what the infrastructure is going to be for this, the technology infrastructure.
Well, look, then the argument becomes, do they try to create it themselves, or do they contract in an extremely expensive firm to do it? Procure the services to do it, which then taxpayers ultimately pay for.
That's right.
And do we risk then having a budget blowout again for something like this? Because government, it's notorious. When I worked on the other side in government, you just watch projects just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's a risk, but it has to be done right if you're going to do it.
That's right, because it's data security.
I don't know, fascinating. But no congestion charge for the immediate future. So we can guarantee that we'll get to the election with no extra tax on having to use our car. And I just need to get better at time management, clearly. Moving on. We'll just go over that. The final one, gangs. I wanted to talk about this for a little bit. So the story is on New Zealand Herald, and it's Police Minister Stuart Nash admits New Zealand has a gang problem. So this came off the back of 2 firearms incidents involving gangs in both Rotorua and Napier over the weekend. And the minister acknowledged that we have a gang problem, saying we have a gang problem, there is no doubt about it. Gangs have become a lot more sophisticated and organised, predominantly because of their control over the methamphetamine trade. So that, in a nutshell, then begs the question, why do gangs continue to get, in my view, an easy ride in the media? Why is there the softening of people's views towards gangs? The minister, the police minister, just talked about their control over methamphetamine. So, that's an illicit drug which ruins people's lives, ruins families, ruins communities, and yet I have just seen an increasing rhetoric that is softening around gangs. And I'm really, really concerned that we're becoming ambivalent towards this. And one of the things that whoever's in government, whether it be the current government, after the election, or a new government, whatever shape or form it takes, they really need to look at the damage that these guys are doing to our communities and to our people across the country. I would say the backing of anything to do with any Kiwis, like supporting them, supporting their whānau, supporting all good positive outcomes, they need to go on the everyday Kiwi first, not gangs. I am yet to see one thing that points me towards supporting gangs. Yet to see one thing. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of PR spin around them. There's a lot of things that making lunches. Well, hey, a lot of mums and dads, Kiwi mums and dads, make lunches for their kids every day. So this is something that I really hope, whether it's this government, the next government, whatever way, shape or form, that they start to just have a little bit of focus on, because I don't want these kind of groups growing in this country. I love this country, and I want to make sure that it's your everyday Kiwi. They're the ones that are looked after, not gangs. The story then goes on, and it says that we have, so it's a quote from the minister again, it says that we've confiscated more than 100 million of gang assets, and we're hoping to introduce laws that will allow us to go even harder on this. And this is something that it's always puzzled me, that gang members, well, I mean, it's not puzzled me, I know the reason, but if we're talking about these groups that are, a lot of them are living in what is the underground or the underbelly of our society, how do they have Bentleys? How do they have Rolls Royces? How do they have these amazing choppers, these bikes, chopper bikes? Because I work my ass off. Every small business owner I know works their fingers to the bone just to have a little slice off the top through their business. And yet we have these gangs who have these amazing assets that, personally for me, well out of reach right now, who knows what the future holds, but how do they continue to accumulate these things that not even some of the most wealthy people that I see have them, whether that be by choice or because they, not there yet. It just sort of makes no sense to me, and I guess it goes back to that word, as the minister said, methamphetamine, but is that really the New Zealand that we want to be supporting? Definitely not mine. Really interested to hear your guys' thoughts out there, if you have any views. Gangs are notoriously seen as a Māori issue, or Te Ao Māori issue, because, there's a lot of people who are Māori who are in gangs, but it's not. It's something that is a New Zealand issue. And if you're sympathetic with gangs, please let me know, because I would love to have a discussion with you via Twitter and sort of hear what your whakaaro is on this topic. I'm definitely got strong views on this. And if you're sympathetic to them, just sort of let me know. Right, so that is our top 5 pieces of news that are going on in the political world. How do you feel, Launcher? How do you feel?
Oh, how do I feel in general?
Well, about getting that run... Not in general. I don't really care if you feel hungry. I mean, well, I do, but like... That's your 5 top political stories going on in the political world. Right. How do you feel about that?
Informed.
Yeah?
Yeah, and curious as well.
What are you most curious about?
I think I'm curious about... Do you mean like which of the 5 that I'm most curious about?
Yeah, or just like what are you curious about in general?
I like understanding the forces at work that drive something. So, for example, the gangs. I was thinking in my head, like, well, first of all, why are gangs created in New Zealand? What are the forces that drive that to happen? 2, is it a perception or fear thing, right? Like, are we looking at gangs in a very outdated way? As you said, they're becoming more organized. Is it on a surface they look like old traditional gangs, but actually they're more like the mafia. They're super organized. It's a business. There's a level of entrepreneurship, and like even if it's criminal entrepreneurship, it's still running a business, right? And I'm just like, I'd love to understand what's happening there.
Do you know what businesses do though? They pay tax.
Yeah, so that's that being the key difference. But
so how are you going to profit off a crime and then pay tax? It doesn't reconcile, right? I don't understand how you could run a business that's based on crime, and then how you're going to, because you're then going to pay tax on a crime. Just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if we take tax out of it, like everything else about it, like the organization of it, the operations, that kind of thinking, that I'm wondering if that's what's going on, right? So I'm just curious to learn more about how that works, and I think might be worth asking an expert friend if you have one. I think
we should try to get the police minister in here.
Or Johnny. I don't know if you saw Johnny's interview with Rebet earlier, but he's
Johnny Borland, JP.
Yeah. So top investigator.
Yeah.
I think he'd have some interesting insights into this.
Yeah.
Should definitely ask him.
Well, I wonder where we'd fall on the spectrum. I wonder what his thoughts would be on this topic versus me.
I think he'd have an understanding of the ops behind it, the operations. Like, what are the forces that drive, gang creation, and then what are the forces that drive the evolution of gangs?
Yeah, but then I'm not sure. Is that then, because if we take that on a different conversation trail, which is sort of like, say, for example, murder, there's forces that lead someone to do that act, but does that mean that then we're going to, sort of be like, oh, wow.
Oh, no, I'm not saying at all we justify it. It's more understanding from first principles and then thinking about what the solution is, because that minister might have said, yeah, gangs are a problem, but then what do you do about it? Like, where's the best, what's the solution?
Yeah, my bigger bugbear is just the sympathy towards them seems to be rising. That's the thing that scares me the most, that people seem to be far more lenient towards the behaviour of these people who are gang members. the minister said himself, they're dealing methamphetamine.
What does that leniency look like? Like,
just when we seem to, I do see a lot of comments about how they can't help it that they're there, and I personally just reject that entirely, because I think that you have decisions that you make in your life, and you can always choose which way you want to go. And I've seen my most enjoyable reports that I read in and around gangs are former gang members who have left the gang, and then they continuously say it is like, I would never do it again. I wouldn't want anyone that I know to be part of a gang, and that it was their worst time of their lives. So hey, yeah, I'm encouraged. Like, I'd love to be challenged on this. It's definitely something that resonates strongly with me, that I don't see it being part of my New Zealand.
Right.
So yeah.
Interesting.
So we have got 10 more minutes before we're off the air. So I'm really keen to have a look and see what is sort of going on in the world of Twitter. You're all extremely quiet. I must not be doing a good show.
It's the first one. So I'm sure over time you're going to get a few tweets coming out.
I think that the key thing is moving forward with the show. We're going to try to have a guest every show, and I've got one already lined up of somebody that I really respect. Super, super funny. Former politician, has been a politician of, I think, 2 parties, and actually, I find this amusing, self-proclaimed influencer. So uses the term influencer now, which I do enjoy, because that term always conjures up a whole bunch of things. So we will hopefully, it is a him, we will have him on the show in the next couple of weeks. And but I'm super interested to hear who you guys want to hear from. I mean, there's 120 MPs in Parliament, so that is a ton of good interviews, questions, opportunities to find out what they're thinking, where they want to see the country go, what they might think on gangs, what they might think on benefit numbers, and ask them all the questions that you guys want to know. And we're also going to unpack some of those really, I guess you could say, complex ideas that makes politics a barrier to a lot of people. Like you said it yourself, the terminology that we use, or that is used in the political landscape, is really unique. And but I mean, it's similar to being in here, using the term a sting. Lots of people, I didn't know what that was for a long time. A sting is just something that a wasp gives you. It's not something that you use for media. So yeah, covering a lot of those things that will hopefully bring politics to you guys, make you more interested in engaging, and make sure that you can put your whakaaro out. So as we wrap it up there, I just want to make a big shout out to Robert and all the work that him and the team, you guys, have done to get Switch up and running, and it's been a crash course, I gotta say. And yeah, the next show is going to be live streamed in, what is that, 15 to 20 minutes?
Yeah,
I
think so.
So we've got Claire Amos coming up, off the chain educational leader. So she's going to be talking about some really cool content, I imagine. And she will, bring the fire, as I expect. If you have been tuned in for this whole episode, thank you. We're going to have a guest next week I'm not sure who it is yet. I've got to land them, but I've got a couple of ones up my sleeve. And so hopefully that we can bring you some really, really good, exciting ways to bring politics, especially in an election year. And if you work in and around politics and you're tuned in and you want to come and be part of the show, sit here with me and talk about all the issues. Could be you, Minister Twyford, we can talk about the congestion. Or you, Chris Bishop, we can talk about the congestion charge that you want to put in. Could be you, Minister Nash, we can talk about gangs. Or it could be you, Prime Minister, we can talk about the fake news style of advertising and touch on that and why you guys made the decision to sort of be a leader in this space and really look after voters and voting rights. So there's going to be a lot of good content coming up. Of course, let me know, tweet us, political_hour, and make sure that you tune in for the next episode. We are going to be streaming 3:30 to 4:30 every Thursday afternoon. And it'll be really good for you to join me again for the Political Power Hour. Thank you so much for tuning in and have an amazing evening.